Reason number one, overused. Seeing the same card over and over again makes you hate it, of course, especially if you see the usage rates that normally reflect a broken or good card, but in the end you realize that in top ladder it's the different story. The thing is, in ladder most players are free to play, and that means if they invest in a card and it gets nerfed, they are forced to keep playing it because they can't switch a deck. For example, let's say Evo Firecracker on release was like extremely busted. Some free to plays maybe, let's say, invested in on her, but then at the end she got severely nerfed. But now they have this evolution that they have her, for example, level 14, so they continue playing her. It's just that they have no choice. And reason number two for a card to be hated is if it's too matchup dependent. There are so many examples I can get. For example, Mother Witch versus Graveyard is you automatically win, but against Beatdown she sucks. Elixir Pump, if your opponent doesn't have a big spell, it's amazing or even broken, but if they have a big spell, it's always negative Elixir trades, and it sits as a dead card. Same thing for Goblin Curse. If you're playing Skarmy and your opponent has Goblin Curse, playing Skarmy becomes a liability. And Exbo, if you're facing a tank, like, you will not win, but if you're facing Lava Hound, you will win. It's just that these cards become controversial and they're mostly on the hated side because it's just that this polarity of design just makes them hated, of course. And reason number three for a card to be hated is if it has the word heal on it. Like, at this point, any card with a healing mechanic is just unbalanced. Let's take for an example Battle Healer. Battle Healer was extremely strong with Elixir Golem, but then now she absolutely sucks. Evo Witch on release was, what can I say, something else, but now she has a 5% usage rate after a lot of nerfs, and even after multiple heal nerfs she managed to stay good, but then, or broken, and then they decided to give her a proper nerf. We have the Heal Spirit, which is the worst 1 elixir card in Clash Royale, and it even has a 1% usage rate, which is quite pathetic for a card. We have Evo Bats that are mid, we have Evo P.E.K.K.A, who is dead right now kinda, but except in that brain rot deck, but in 2024 she was like extremely dominant, don't think weirdly, alright. And we also have, yeah, that's it. Anything that has heal, even the heal spell itself was unbalanced, broken with 3 Musketeer but garbage with everything else. At this point, Clash Royale should just stop adding heal mechanics because they will never be healthy, it's either broken or trash. And reason number 4 for a card to be hated, if it has 0 skill cap, or I don't know, skill ceiling or cap. Basically, that means that the card, whether played by a noob or a pro, is played the same way. Let's take for example Mega Knight. You drop him, he boom, he just boom, does spawn damage, jumps around. There's no outplaying, there's no strategy, you just drop him and watch him do stuff. E-Barbs, the best thing you can do, like the most mind-blowing thing you can do with them is just split. Otherwise you just drop them, hope they do something. In general, these brain rot cards that are so beginner friendly tend to also get overused, and it gets really tiring to see your whole push eradicated by E-Barbs maybe, or just Mega Knight, and it gets really tiring. But if you get, for example, beaten up by a bandit, well, it's your fault. Your opponent outplayed you. They positioned her, they timed her so well that they managed to get value out of her, and in that moment you don't hate the bandit, you just say, well, that was a clutch bandit. But getting beaten up by a Mega Knight just feels so unsatisfying, so in the end you end up hating Mega Knight. The reason number 5 for a card to be hated is basically if it's over-levelable. I just decided to invent that. For example, if you overlevel a Musketeer, doesn't change too many interactions. She will survive Fireball with a bit more health, she will deal more damage, otherwise against a Skeleton army she does nothing. But if you overlevel an E-Giant, well, his reflection damage will be more, he will have so much more health because he's already a tank, because plus 10% health for an E-Giant is like plus 30% health for a Witch or something like that. It's because he's a tank and it's like percentage. And if you overlevel a Mega Knight, it will change many interactions. For example, normally he gets countered by Mini P.E.K.K.A, but now he counters the Mini P.E.K.K.A. That's why this is probably one of the only smart aspects about, like, the only points of strength and intelligence of most players in general. I'm not saying I'm smart, I'm also dumb, don't mind me, but they know what cards to overlevel. Because if you overlevel swarms, they won't really do anything. They're already fragile, they already die. If you overlevel a log, well, it's not gonna do much. Maybe if your opponent has an underleveled archers, but you know, they have their Evo, and also Firecracker has Evo, and everyone is using them, and they overlevel. Anyways, if the card can be overleveled and have a severe impact, like it really changes the interactions, then they just overlevel them, and it becomes very painful to see all those cards that basically wipe out your whole push because they're a level higher. Or no, 3 levels higher. And the last reason why a card could be hated, it's that it becomes extremely toxic when it's good. I know I've already mentioned that with the heal, like the heal spirit or etc, but I think I have to mention that. For example, let's say Bandits becomes meta. Okay, that means bridge spam is meta. Okay, not that much of a problem. But if Mirror becomes meta, then you know something's wrong. Something is not working with the game. The game becomes toxic. No, it's not enjoyable. You see people spamming the new broken card, etc. And it's just not fun. If Elixir Pump becomes meta, then Clash Royale will be ruined. Just in 2016, Elixir Pump was at an 88% usage rate. It was just so overused because it cost 5 elixir and could survive lightning, and it was like the axis of Clash Royale. The game was revolved around who placed their pump first. When Elixir Golem was meta in 2019, the meta was just Toxic Beatdown. When Night Witch was meta, it was spam. Same for Phoenix, Goblin Machine. Generally, there are cards that when they become good, the game becomes bad. For example, Log and Arrows are just extremely overused and strong. They're normally broken cards with their usage rates and maybe win rates, but they're not hated because they're part of the game. They're essential. They counter the annoying cards like Dart Goblin, Firecracker, maybe a Minion Horde in case you don't have any counters, for example Arrows, etc. They help the game, they sustain it. Same thing for Fireball. Who minds a Fireball meta, except that it would make Fireball bait popular. Generally, there are cards that become toxic when they're too good, like either too good or too garbage. So Brawl Stars, Clash Royale ops to make them garbage. It's just for the better, like for the better of the game, for the greater good. Just like Barb Hut, which lost like half of its HP from its release. That's it for the video. Hope you liked it, and if you hate, like if you think there's any other criteria for a card being hated, comment down below and comment down your most hated card. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.